and welcome to Tina Talks Keto, where we're going to dive into my journey on a ketogenic way of eating. My name is Tina Barkin, and for the past 23 months, I've been eating some form of a low-carb diet. I'm down about 60 pounds from when I started. As we go together with my journey, I'll talk about what I started with, what I'm doing now, and what worked and what didn't. Right up front, it's important to say that what you hear from me is my opinion. It's what it worked or didn't work for me and for me alone. In this living experiment, with the experiment being my way of eating and how well it works for me, I'm what people call an N of 1. If you watch many of the keto influencers on YouTube, you may hear them say N of 1. Maybe this is obvious to most of you, but in case it isn't, what exactly does that mean? In any data collected from a research trial, the number of participants are the N value. So if there are 20 participants, that's an N of 20. Since I'm the only participant, I'm an N of 1. The things I talk about in this video and any future videos are not any kind of medical advice. I'm not a doctor or a nurse or an EMT or anything related to the medical field. So, before you make any changes, please see your physician. So why listen to me? Well, I have history. More than 50 years of it. I'm 70, and I have dieted all my adult life. I followed Dr. Atkins in 1972 and was successful. I lost 35 pounds in 3 months. So what happened? Well, it wasn't a lifestyle change. It was just a temporary diet. And I never saw myself as thin. In this first video, I'm going to provide some of the broad strokes of how I started and how I've done. Then each week, I'll do more of a deep dive into specific topics that helped me. Some of the things I'll be talking about in future videos: what are my whys, and how best to hone in on your why and what's important to you. I'll talk about stalls, insulin, exercise, continuous glucose meters, how to talk to your doctor, oxidative priority, keto while traveling, and some of my medical issues. Plus moving from keto to ketovore to carnivore and how I've done with that. My videos will most likely be a blend of where I've been historically over the past 2 years and where I'm at today. I've done so many diets. Let's start with Weight Watchers. Oh boy, how many times have I gone back to Weight Watchers? I'm a lifetime member, so I guess one of the times I followed it, I was successful at that time. But it didn't stick. I've always felt fat, even when I was successful with weight loss. Then there's Nutrisystem. Oh my goodness, that food is awful. And yet I did it for 6 whole months. I tried medication. Back in the early 80s, I found a doctor who prescribed amphetamines. Shame on him. I went from 256 pounds to 132. During that time, I sure didn't get any sleep. And at 132 pounds, I still thought I was fat. Then, of course, I gained it all back. I took Fen-Phen in the 90s, which was then taken off the market. The fact that it had a really scary side effect that required a lung transplant didn't deter me. I took the stuff they now call Ali. It blocks fat absorption, and it has some really gross side effects. Then there was Jenny Craig, and cabbage soup, and the grapefruit diet, and even, believe it or not, only pasta. Yes, that was a thing. I have to say it was fun, but of course it didn't work. Then I went through the too much exercise phase. Sometimes all of this stuff worked for a while, but my brain never saw me as thin, so all of them were doomed to fail. As a kid, I was fed well. Note, I didn't say well fed. To me, there's a difference. Well fed seems to imply an abundance of available food, whereas fed well means healthy, good food served for dinner. We didn't have dessert. We didn't have extras. We ate clean, whole food. This is the 1950s, so very little, if any, processed food was available, and eating out was a huge luxury. I remember when the very first TV dinners came out. Such excitement. We even bought tray tables so that we could sit in front of the TV, as the TV dinners said we should. It was a real treat. So why was I chubby? I remember being the odd kid. I wasn't the popular kid. I was called names. I lived in New York City in a large complex called Stuyvesant. It's actually called Stuytown now because, we have to abbreviate everything. I was an active kid playing in the playground, riding a bicycle. I walked to school. Elementary school was about 10 blocks in New York City. High school was 1.5 miles each way. So where did the weight come from? Let's fast forward now to 2 years ago. When I gave up on following Weight Watchers and started a keto-style diet, I had finally reached the I'm disgusted with myself and I have to do something about it stage. I felt awful. I had no energy. I was falling asleep on the couch in the afternoon. My body hurt, and I was just ready and determined to do something. Fortunately, I remembered that way back when I was successful following Dr. Atkins' diet. So I decided to try that. I lost 12 pounds over the first 6 weeks following Dr. Atkins' diet in his 1972 book. And half of those weeks I was away on a motorcycle trip. I'm grateful that I was able to lose those pounds, and I feel for those of you who struggle straight out of the gate. Sometimes our bodies just don't do what we expect them to do. Basically, I ate as much protein as I wanted. Mostly steaks, burgers, bacon, chicken, salmon, and pork chops. Plus eggs with some salad, including some cucumbers and a few tomatoes, veggies like green beans and asparagus, and fats like mayo and salad dressing. I also ate some cheese, some beef jerky, some ham and cheese sticks, and I did that on my trip. Speaking of ham, in the beginning, I recommend not sweating the small stuff. There will be some unexpected carbs in some grocery and gas station foods. You can find ham without any carbs listed on the label, and you can find ham with 1 or 2 carbs per serving. Some of this is because of serving size. And 0 doesn't actually mean 0. And 1 carb might be 2 carbs. Eat it and move on. Dr. Eric Westman calls these carblets. You should keep your total grams of carbs under 20 and don't count net carbs. Net carbs are an excuse to eat what you shouldn't be eating. Hypothetically, you could be eating something that has 2 net carbs and 20 total carbs. If you eat 5 of these things in a day, and it's actually not that hard to do that because the portion sizes on the labels are tiny, you would actually have eaten 100 total carbs. For most of you, that's too many carbs to successfully lose weight. Trying this new way of eating and constantly trying to substitute all the sweet stuff with packaged garbage really doesn't work. It's better to just focus on what you can eat, which is plenty, and get away from the fake foods. I tried one Atkins bar once. The first few bites were great, but about halfway through, it started tasting pretty disgusting. Before I retired, I traveled a lot for work, so I learned how to follow whatever diet I was on. That learning curve really helped me this time, especially since the second 3 weeks out of the 6 weeks that I lost the 12 pounds, I was traveling on the road, and I was traveling on a motorcycle, which meant I wasn't actually able to carry my food. I had to go out and buy it. I ate plenty of fast foods. When you're starting, there's nothing wrong with fast food. It's not the healthiest thing to eat, but it does the job. I just removed the roll and scraped off the relish and ketchup. I did not worry about when I ate, or when I snacked, or how much I ate of the unlimited foods. I did not count calories, though I did log them. More about that in just a bit. On our trip, we'd stop at gas stations, and I'd get some jerky and cheese to snack on. Hotel breakfasts were somewhere between awful and barely edible. But almost always there were hard-boiled eggs and Jimmy Dean sandwiches that I could take apart. I'm a data geek, so I track all my food. Sometimes I'm sloppier than other times. Sometimes I'll just write down that I had coffee and some half and half. But most of the time, I've been pretty diligent about logging all my food. I log all my food in MyFitnessPal, and I've been doing that for over 9 years. My logging streak is 3,366 days as of today. What's the value here? Well, I can actually look and see what I was eating at any single day or week from the past 9 years. So I can accurately see what worked and what didn't. Last year, I added a continuous glucose monitor. That's been very helpful with me monitoring what my glucose and my ketones are. Well, not my ketones, because that's on a fingerstick monitor. But it's been very helpful in understanding how my insulin is working. So that's it for today. I'm a novice when it comes to making videos, so please bear with me as I figure out how to put together useful and interesting information for you. Please consider subscribing so you get notified when I release another video. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.